want to get to the numbers first, Christine.
Yeah.
So what do we have?
Why don't we do that? Well, I've also brought some graphics for us, and let's roll the first one of those. If you haven't been paying attention, the magic number tonight is 270, and that is the number of electoral college votes that a candidate needs to win. So look at how the race is shaping up now. Trump's got his 95 votes in the bag. Kamala Harris trailing there with 35, but we know that as more states call in, that is almost certainly to change. I mean, coming into this, we sort of knew that she has a bit of an easier numerical path, right? If voters vote the way they've always voted historically, then she does have a little bit more going in to this. It is a bit of an uphill for Donald Trump, who has to work much harder, pick up more states. But why don't we go over now and just give you a sense of how that map is colouring up for us now. This would be a geographical map of the United States, and we'll start seeing where places or some of those results have been called in, and that will come up momentarily for us. So look at it, as expected, polls having closed in the East Coast, and some of those, not very many surprises, right?
No.
Not very many surprises. And just the caveat here, so everything that's sort of in the dark shade, that's been called that's certain. Where it looks a bit like it's in a lighter shade, that is what the Associated Press is projecting that the result will be. And one of the key ones for us tonight is, of course, Georgia. Look at that in the lighter shade. But we know that results have come in places like Vermont, that's gone and stayed Democrat. But yeah, when we actually talk about Georgia, now look at that. 33% of the vote has been counted. Donald Trump in the clear lead over there. Kamala Harris at 44% of that vote. But this is one of those, this is one state that unexpectedly turned Democrat.
That's right.
In the 20 election, right? So this was a real surprise, but it's looking like, and I think all the polls coming in were sort of indicating that the Republicans will take this one back. But
and it's because they have to count at the Atlanta area, which
that's
is
right.
Georgians live
That's
actually,
right.
and that usually goes Democrats.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing her trailing so much, even though the polls show it being closer.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is Georgia for you, one that we're certainly going to be watching. So 33% of that vote count in Georgia. Why don't we have a look at the next one for you now? We'll either go North Carolina or we'll do Florida. Which one will it be? Oh, that's North Carolina.
That's right.
That's home, Brent, isn't it?
That's my home state. That's right.
That's okay. So it's still early days in this rate, right? 6% of that vote coming in. North Carolina is an interesting one tonight, right? So Harris definitely needs that strong black turnout.
So really interestingly, in North Carolina, we've seen already that the governor's race has been called for the Democratic candidate. The Republican candidate here was very controversial figure. He made comments about himself being a black Nazi, and there was a long-standing expectation that there would be a split and that the governorship would go to the Democrats. So there's a potential chance that the governor's ticket, rather than the presidential ticket affecting what's going on in the governor's race, there may be some small impact of the governor's race on the presidential race here, and maybe potentially helping Kamala Harris a bit.
And it's one of those states where the demographics are changing. The last time North Carolina was Democrat was when Obama was elected. And so the feeling is, with more people moving in, you've got more urban areas, that this could maybe be the chance for Kamala Harris.
There's also been, in some of these other states, much of the suburbs have already moved to the Democrats. And in North Carolina, that hasn't happened quite so much. So in essence, what we might think of that as being is potential upside for the Democratic Party, that if they can get the suburbs to move in a similar way, particularly those suburbs did around Atlanta last time, if those suburbs around places like Raleigh can also move in that direction, then this is a potential pickup for the Democratic Party.
Well, I'll just remind everybody that this is the only battleground state that Trump was able to win in the last election, right? And it's 16 electoral college votes. Everybody wants that in the bag, right? So that's North Carolina as it goes. And then I know one of the ones that you're particularly looking at tonight is Florida. I think we have a sense of how the vote's going there. It should be very much almost close to finishing the count there. 83% of that vote counts in Florida. Is anybody surprised at how it's looking?
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
No surprises there. So that is Florida. We expect that to firmly go to the Republicans.
Trump's home state, right? I mean, he's from New York, but Mar-a-Lago means that he's a resident Floridian. So
yeah,
a lot of times that does have an effect on U.S. elections, where the candidate is from.
I think if we learned anything from 2020 as well is to not overgeneralize from Florida. Quite often what can happen in Florida is that Florida goes in one direction and the rest of the country can go in a different direction. So, of course, this does look like very good news for Donald Trump, but we need to be careful not to kind of extrapolate out to these other more competitive states.
That's right.
Everyone expected Trump to win Florida, but of course he's going to look at those numbers and be pleased.